Hey everyone, this is Heather with Treasured Hometown. I wanted to take today and just kind of give you a run through on how to do a very basic granny squares. Alright, to begin that, I'm going to use some number 4 weight worsted weight yarn. This one's actually, it's a red heart acrylic yarn. And I'm using a 4mm hook. You can use a heavier weight yarn also, or a lighter weight. You just need to adjust your hook size to accommodate with it. To start making one of these, some people like to start with a chain. I prefer the magic circle. So to start that, hold your yarn between your thumb and your forefinger. Wrap your yarn around your fingers so the tail end is on the bottom and the working end is on the top or towards the end of your fingers. And then take your hook, go through the little circle, and pull up a loop. And then simply we just want to, from here, chain 3. All right. So this first chain 3 will count as a double crochet for your work. Now what we want to do is simply come in here and double crochet 2 more times. So if you're not familiar with a double crochet, you yarn over, go into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through your first 2 loops, yarn over, and go through your last 2 loops. And there's your double crochet. So now we have our first chain 3 counted as a double crochet, and then we did 2 more double crochets. So we have our cluster of 3. Now what we want to do is chain 2. Okay. And then we just want to double crochet now 3 times into the ring. And then chain 2. Okay, so we have 2 clusters. Now we want to do a cluster of 3 double crochets and then chain 2 more times into the ring. Now as you can see right here, the tail of the magic circle is kind of pulling in. So just give it a little bit of a pull to kind of close it up so we don't lose this end of our magic ring. All right, now we have 4 little clusters of chain 3 with a chain 2 in between. Now we want to take our tail of our magic ring and pull it tight. And then find our first chain 3, and we want to slip stitch into our 3rd chain of our first chain 3 in order to join. So now we have kind of a rough square looking thing here. Now from here, there's a few different things I've seen people doing. You can work right into this right back here, this first little area, but I personally do not like working out of there. So what I do is I simply go to the next stitch, slip stitch, so you're across the next 2 double crochets, and then I slip stitch into the chain 2 space here. And then from here, we're going to chain 3. And then we want to double crochet 2 times into that first chain 2 space. And then we want to chain 2. Then into that same chain 2 space, we want to put 3 double crochets. All right, and now after this one, what we want to do is simply chain 1. Now into this next chain space, what we want to do is put 3 double crochets and then chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets into that chain 2 space. And then we want to chain 1. Now you can kind of see it's coming together. This first chain 3 counted as a double crochet, and then 2 more, and then we did 2 chains in between, then the next chain 3, and then only a chain 1. Here I'll do the next little section, which is just a repeat of chain or double crochet 3 times into the chain 2, chain 2, double crochet 3 times into the same chain 2 space, and then chain 1. So we'll do that again for this. All right, now as you can kind of see here, it's starting to form that little square look to it. So the chain 2 is your outer sides of these squares, the outer corners of it. And then that chain 1 is just for a side onto them. So we'll go ahead and do that last little corner and then match it all up, and I'll be able to see a little bit better how it starts forming up. All right, then I just did my last chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain of our first chain 3 of our round in order to join it. All right, now here you can see it starting to form up the squares. Here is the outer corners where there's a chain 2 and a chain 1 along the side. Now start our next row. Now if you're changing colors each row, then you just tie off here, but I'm not changing colors, so I'm gonna once again slip stitch to get myself on over here, and then chain 3. And then I'm going to do 2 more double crochets into that chain 2 space, because that chain 3 counts as a double crochet for this. And then, because we're in a corner, I want to chain 2, and then double crochet 3 times again into that chain 2 space. All right, and now, because we're working down the side, we're going to chain 1. Then we want to double crochet 3 times into the next chain 1 space. And then chain 1. And then into our next corner, we're going to double crochet 3 times. And then chain 2, and then double crochet 3 more times into that chain 2 space. And then chain 1, because we're going down a side. Now you can see here, starting to form up a bit. We'll have 1 corner, 2 corner, and then 1 little square thing in between. because that was just a chain 1, so it's only got 1 cluster into it. So we're going to continue working this pattern, going along, 1 cluster into the side, 2 with the chain 2 in between into the corners. So just remember each corner gets 2 chains in between the clusters. All right, and then on from our last little section, a chain 1, and then slip stitch into that 3rd chain of our first chain 3 of the round in order to join. And then we'll slip stitch across, and then chain 3. So here we can see it's really starting to form up a bit. So we're going to work our corner, starting a corner. So there's the chain 3, which is our first double crochet, and then we want 2 more double crochets into that corner, a chain 2, 3 more double crochets into that corner. Now as you can see down the sides, we chain 1 after that corner, and then 3 double crochets into these 2 spaces here. So it's increasing each time. We're putting 1 extra little space per row. So we'll go ahead and work through to give you a little bit of a visual onto it. All right, showing you this round for here. As you can see, the previous row we had 1 cluster onto the side. Now this one we have 2. And if you look from the corners, the next row will actually have 3 little clusters going along that side. So we go ahead and just kind of repeat this pattern and make sure the only difference, make sure you do the corners the same way going around. and then slip stitch into your third chain of your first chain 3 of your round in order to join. And so here we are, that is round 4. Now I'll go ahead and I'll do one more round with you just to show you how really they start forming up even more with you. So that first chain 3 counts as a double crochet stitch. So we do 2 more double crochet stitches into there, and then chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets into that same chain 2 space to form our corner, and then chain 1. Now coming down the side, we have 3 chain 1 spaces, so we want to do 3 double crochets and then a chain 1 into each one of these spaces. And then work your corners. 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets, and then a chain 1, all going into the same chain 2 space, which is the corner. And then once again for the side, 3 of the double crochet, 3 chain 1 clusters, and then work your way down the side. And then go ahead and work your last corner. And then at the end, we do our chain 1 and slip stitch into our third chain of our first chain 3 of the round in order to join. And that is how you work a basic granny square. So as you can see, as more rows, it really starts to square up a lot better. Now, I hope you enjoyed this little short tutorial on just how to work these. You can continue adding more and more and more rows onto this. I actually do have a pattern that I wrote. It's a blanket cardigan that works simply off of a heavier weight yarn and with a different size hook also. And it's actually made to get into a cardigan. It's like I also refer to it as like a blanket sweater. So I'll go ahead and link that pattern into the description below. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a little thumbs up. And if you'd like to continue weekly getting free patterns, be sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. All right, and if there's anything that you're looking at wanting me to go ahead and do in a tutorial, be sure to go ahead and comment into the comment section below the video, and I will take a look at those and see what I can kind of do and see about making a pattern or something or a tutorial for you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.